And because we were living in Brighton, not for very long, for some reason, mainly because there was no garden, we came over to Eastbourne, and I got this job instead because these other people said you've never had any present experience at all. No experience. So you can't get it. I mean, how do you become a curator if you haven't? How do you, where do you get it? You've got to go to be one to get one. Right, we'll go back over these pictures, shall we? Yes, I never knew the man. He was dead before I came to Eastbourne. And the amazing thing, I was in one of these old folks' homes. Was it a Kestrel house? Anyway, I was in one of these places, and a woman was talking to me. She said, my husband, he used to be the town crier. I said, oh really? I thought, well, I'll give him a bit of a shock. So I came in 2 weeks later as the town crier, and she almost passed away. She thought it was her husband. Did the wrong thing, really. They're all over the place, you know. There's some town criers stop you peeing in the river because they've got to go and get the beer ready the following day. Women town criers, I don't think got any monkey town criers, but they're all over the world. So even that, or even the cry is very important. That fellow there, yeah. Bell was given to me by some charity. It said before, Lammas Day, really enjoyable day altogether, and I just happened to get hooked onto it, and being somewhat of that sort of persuasion, as you probably gathered from some of my letters in the papers, I tend to Druidism and things like that. So I love woods and forests. Yeah. And this, I was just going to tell you about this. Now, the Arlington Arms was taken over by two new people, the two new licensees. Now, you'd never possibly guess their names. The man is Goodwin, and the other one's Sands. You get washed up with that pub. Right, oh, there it is. Lazy bugger.
Where's that?
Lazy. A cool cat, that's what I do. Take it easy. Why not? Yeah. Oh, there we are.
Careful.
That's me back there, as it marks it out there. And Hereford, lovely place, Hereford. I fancied one of the wrens, funnily enough, not a waff, but a wren. But instead of that, she asked me to become the best man for her appointment. But anyway, Hereford's a lovely place. Yeah. Anybody here, by any chance, ever know a man called Pritchard? Philip Pritchard. I was just hoping. He was a friend of mine, very involved in politics and things like that. And for some reason, he committed suicide. And I've never met anybody who's been able to explain to me why, because he seemed quite organised. Lovely place, Hereford he used to live in. Look, well, no one knows. Only in the seance, of course. And I've been to a few of those. You'd be surprised to know. There it is. Lazy devil, look at it. Well now, this is me in my early acting days. This is 5 minutes from Broadcasting House. I worked there for 13 years, doing all sorts of radio programs. And on that little bit here, that black book, it's called Time Form. It has all the important details about horses, jockeys, and with the aid of that, I used to make money every year. Because I didn't get all that much from acting, not quite, sometimes all right, but you're never sure of it, see. So anyway, he was very handy, that time poem, and it was written by a man called Phil Bull, who was a maths master at one of the colleges. But yes, they're very useful book. It probably cost about, I don't know, £25 a day, but in those days it wasn't so much. So there you are. An interest. Oh,
yeah, matinee idol.
Hardly recognise the man. It was outside the Fortune Theatre. I was in 13 plays in the Fortune Theatre, and yes, right, I've got to tell you the story. I was playing Danforth, who was the Witchfinder General, and he comes in the second act. So in he comes, sits on the chair, the arm falls off the chair, Danforth says, bloody furnace is falling to pieces. Immediately, he left the body. I was up there in the wings, watching my performance. It was a fantastic performance, out of body, you know. Anyway, I gave the performance of my life. I knew it. I came back, I was in the dressing room. Michael Howley came in and said, Tony, oh, what a performance. Fantastic. Incredible. I said, I know, I watched it myself. That was handy, wasn't it? Having had one of those experiences already, as a young boy of 6½, I knew what it was all about. But it's a rather smooth character, isn't it? Sherlock Holmes, maybe? Yeah. Sexton Blake, I think.
Yeah.
Sexton Blake, yeah. Hay fever, there we are. Look at that hay fever. Look at that. That's not mine, but this is where I kept on taking different parts. This is in Aden, of all places. Yeah. So there you are. The joke is that I took 3 different parts, and the whole thing was cancelled because there'd been a murder across the road. so, good old Aden.
Yeah.
Lovely spot. Noel Coward. Now, I worked with Noel Coward, he was on a film called The Surprise Package. And Yul Brynner was on the film as well.
So was mine.
I had a few lines. Yul Brynner kept being annoyed by me upstaging him by having more lines than he had at the time, but I was too tall. So eventually I was pushed back behind Yul Brynner. He ended up with about 5 lines. I ended up with a whole sheet of stuff. And that was the film. Terrible film. Absolute bloody rubbish. There it is. That was in a German detective film, and I was doing that in Pimlico, of all places. Yeah, before Pimlico became very fashionable. But that's the man himself. This was in Charente-Maritime on the west-hand side of France, and I was playing the player king and these people. We did a tour all the way up to the top and back, and really enjoyed myself. I'll tell you a weird story. This chap here, can't remember his name now, but he had a flat in Brighton, and when he came back from this job, he wanted to get rid of the flat, and Joan, I've never mentioned Joan, but I will do, who also lived there, Joan's brother wanted somewhere to live. So this man said, well, why don't you live in my place for free? He said, where is it? He gave him the name. He said, that's where I was engaged. Isn't it amazing? Synchronicity, it's called. Yes. Synchronicity. Yeah. Yeah, oh, well. Now, during the war, at boys' school, had 2 great heroes, the Spitfire and the Hood.
Oh, yeah.
And the Spitfire still carried on, and I said, shoot, 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 shoot. Tried to sink the Bismarck, and they sank the Hood, so that was the end of me. So it was a shame, really. My great hero, the Hood. They were both magnificent machines, they really were. I could draw a Spitfire in 5 seconds. Perfect. One of those things. So, I just give a little bit of the war. Now, one or two of you have been aware of the war, of course. When I went to Shell in Sevenoaks, I went to stay at a school called St Michael's, and John Hurt ended up there 7 years later, which shows he's a little bit younger than me. But I counted 368 buzz bombs. That's a few, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is this. One of these buzz bombs didn't explode. And being a lad, a couple of mates, we all ran up into the woods to see what we could get off the buzz bomb. And we started to pull at the buzz bomb, trying to get this off. And the voice said, "Go there, you stupid bastards!" Off we went very quickly, but it could have exploded. Anyone? So there you are, that's Bismarck and the buzz bomb. That was taken just by the Middlesex Hospital. Not because I was a patient, or even impatient, but a friend of mine took it. It was the last one on the roll, so he should take it. I was quite pleased with that. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Well, now, I tell you all about him, yeah. You know old Patrick, he's all right, I tell you that. Oh, that's all right. I know all about him now. In fact, I've got a little poem somewhere. I wrote a poem about Terry Woburn. May not have it here. It's somewhere amongst all these amazing bits of paper. I recently translated Alice in Wonderland into the Sussex dialect, which is a very difficult job, I tell you. Yeah. And I agreed to this Australian that if he paid me £1,000, a grand as he called it, grand, yeah. He said, yes, you can do it. Well, I did it. It took weeks and weeks, and eventually got it done. I went on Countdown to advertise the fact. I was under the name of Arthur Coate, which is the curator, anagram.
Oh, yes.
So, I went on the programme. I certainly didn't win. I didn't expect to win. I just enjoyed going on there, seeing Carol and good old Richard. And it was a good show. I enjoyed the show. But, there you are. And Alice in Wonderland, I'm afraid, is Blunderland now, because it should have taken off, and it never did. Now, you see all these tapes, people don't play them today. They threw all their machines away because they were told to, and I did, stupid bugger. Anyway, that is Alice in Wonderland in Sussex. Complete. But I haven't got any little flyers to go with it. But there we are, there they are. I've got about 100 of them. Oh, can't sell them. Yeah, say the bee, as they say. Yeah. I must get the Irishman off. Causing a bit of trouble, the Irishman. Yeah. I didn't know it had so many pictures. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, there are. Now, Nicholas Parsons' kitchen. I'm one of these two idiots there, you can tell. And we're moving this bloody great thing around the kitchen. And that's Nicholas Parsons' house. There you are. What a lovely guy is, Eddie Davis. Fantastic character. Yes, I met some fantastic characters. And the most amazing one is a chap called Paddy Ryan. And he was a stuntman and a double. And he was one night, 8 o'clock, Waterloo Bridge, he was dressed as John Mills Park, with a flat hat and all this stuff. Oh, no, I think he had a bowler hat. Yeah. Anyway, there he was, on the bridge, very cold night, and a man edged up to Paddy. He said, yeah. He said, I don't know if he knows about this. I said, well. Paddy said, no. He said, well, he's getting a job off there, Sarburg. He's doubling for John Mills. He's going to go in there, the water's bloody cold, there's a strong wind, and the current is terrible. Anyway, I just thought, you know, stupid bloody thing to do, isn't it? And off he went. About 5 minutes later, action! Eddie Ryan dived in, hat came off, went into the river. Oh, he's right, bloody cold, strong current.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get towards the boat that was picking him up. And the voice said, "Get the hat, it's continuity." So that's the film business. I was on the wall over. Wagner and McQueen. McQueen was annoyed because Wagner, the pretty boy, was getting all the work, he was getting all the lines. And so they had this argument between the two of them. Pretty boy and the good actor, you see, that was the view. And anyway, the chap came in at lunchtime from the second unit, and he went up to the director. He said, "What's up, sir?" "Well," I said, "I'm afraid we've lost our parachutist." He said, "What?" He wrapped himself up. I said, "Oh, we'll have to phone for another one." Now that's the film business. They weren't bothered about another man, another young man. You know, you soon get another young man for the agency. See, call him, get another one. Amazing, isn't it? I don't know whether you were ever. It's a funny thing. I was reading about Councillor Underhay the other day. It's quite an interesting story about that bloody great Southcliffe Tower. I call her Dunderhay myself, but there we are. She threatened to jump off, not jump off, she threatened to jump over Beachy Head. Well, that's a total impossibility. To jump off, I can understand. To jump over is a different thing. So anyway, in 1962, it was all agreed, and off it went. And this is what Mabels would know a lot about, the building of that enormous thing. And on the way down here, driven down here by a great friend of mine, Richard, he told me that he thought that Roger Moore was actually living in the penthouse. Anybody know?
Yeah.
Is it true? Yeah.
So they say.
Well. Well, I was in one or two saints. I had one or two lines, but I also used to stand in for Roger. And we used to go to the races at Hurst Park and enjoy ourselves at the races. He was a very nice guy. I got on very well with him, but we came from the same sort of background, but I'm afraid Sean and I never saw eye to eye, and he still owes me a penny halfpenny, but there you are. I believe he's got dementia, I'm not sure.
Yes,
So the story goes, is that true?
About 90, eh?
Who knows? So yes, that's it. It's a funny old game, as they say. Oh, there it is. It's a bit corny, a little bit corny. Friendly. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it.
what about that?
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the job, it says. Yeah. It was one of the Cavendish family, I believe, who actually had this organisation called the Century Boiler. I used to march around saying, "Don't forget the Century Boiler! Don't forget the Century Boiler!"
Yeah.
Funny job, but well paid. Oh, monsieur le voyage, c'est sa femme. Il peut I had that in my passport when I was in France. I had trouble once in the traffic, and I showed my picture. I had a big one of me as the gendarme, so they let me off. That man, he was a real swine. This was an amazing, I don't know whether you remember this, a whole series of television programs, all to do with these key markets. You remember that? I think they died off, they didn't last, the key market cops. I was a key market cop. So there I was, as a key market cop, chasing the baddie all the way along the train. Marvellous, you know, wonderful. Yes, the old train. one of the old trains. So I was, at least I did something funny about that. Yeah. Oh, poor man. This was 3 minutes walk from my flat, Middlesex Hospital. I look suitably miserable, didn't I? That's my blankets, my pyjamas. In fact, the only thing that wasn't mine, I think, was this thing round my neck. But boiled cabbage, fried fish, stewed prunes. So it was a nice little job, and a very, very enjoyable one. One of the most enjoyable, although terrifying ones I had, was in Burnham Woods. Do you know Burnham Woods, anybody? Burnham Woods. Anyway, there were 5 of us, and we were actually against the established Citroen, I think it was, and we had this tremendous shootout. And when he shot us, we had to fall back on this hard, frosty ground. And it was well paid, but it took a long time to get the money. But my word, it was a very difficult job altogether. And altogether, I have to say. Right, what's this? Sitting there. Oh, well. Oh, that's it, yeah. That's the most enjoyable job I've ever had in anything, I think. I was paid to drink and tell jokes. 4 hours. Bloody marvellous.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of those country's first stand-ups, you see. And you wouldn't know this because it was in American air bases. And I got very well paid. I was only a young man, 19, to a stand-up, and I quite enjoyed it, but until someone said, get that bastard off the set or something, so I gave up. But anyway, that was an enjoyable job with the Times, you know, with the Times.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. Oh, no, it's in, monsieur, what is he? Oh, where's the monsieur? Monsieur, he's gone. He's gone. Where's the Frenchman gone? I'm going to find that Frenchman. Where's the Frenchman?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, hey, where's the Frenchman? There he is.
There he is.
There he is. No, it isn't a Frenchman, it's Giuseppe, isn't it? I think it's Giuseppe. Yeah, it is. It's not a Frenchman, is it? Italiano.
Yeah.
Giuseppe.
Benissimo.
When I finished with Dr. No, having rubbed beautiful Ursula Andress's back because of the terrible trauma she'd been going through, I went off and became a professor of English in NATO in the big Castle Vecchio. But I didn't tell you about, I expect you read about it, about the terrible trouble with the spiders. And anyway, there's Dr. No, he's sitting in his chair, and this man comes in with a beautifully formed cage. Beautiful, it really is beautifully crafted. And he's got this enormous bird spider in it. So he presents it to Dr. No. Dr. No looks at it. Oh, yes. And suddenly, it's gone. Because, being a spider, it ran out sideways. They didn't think about that. They didn't think, oh, that's really stupid, didn't they? All these hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And the spider went off, so for about 2 hours, we were looking for this spider. What a game. Go ahead! I only had 7 legs left. So he called and he bring us back the following day. What a business. So there you are, you see. You can't trust them, can you? Yeah, that's how Giuseppe. I liked Italy, I really did. I had a very nice girlfriend. And I went to Venice 3 times, and Venezia. And that's me and that's the end. That's very clever. Very clever. The end. Yes, that was me and her. Where was it now? One of the London parks. And yes, I was hanging around, as they say.
Yeah.
You see, it's a funny thing. If I'd been in the X Factor in those days, and the X Factor had existed, I'd have probably done very well, because I used to sit with my legs around my head and all sorts of stuff and run along like that. But I'm afraid I missed out there. I seem to have born at the wrong time or whatever. You can't tell, can you? We had 2 Dalmatians. I've always thought of dogs, particularly dogs, as a sort of buffer state at home. They keep the two people apart somehow and stop arguments. And I quite honestly can really think that 40 years together we spent, Joan and I, and the last 2 or 3 years we have had arguments because there's no dog, because we're too old to have one. It's a shame. There you are. One of those things. So. I had a lovely time with Spike Milligan.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the, it's called the Melting Pot, and I was a Glaswegian Arab. And my first line was, I come over, I come over for first aid business. Touching on, is it you, and I got it. I said, what's that? No, I said, well, it's Arabic. He said, no, it isn't Arabic at all. He said, you speak Scottish. I said, Scottish Arab. Oh, I see. Oh, hi, I came over here to, I know the Lloyd's Bank. Anyway, that's it. Anyway, the thing was that we did this thing for 7 weeks, and I got this Arabic character eventually, Scottish Arab, and it's called Shake Your Money. And it went on for 7 weeks we did this thing, and he kept on introducing new things. And one of the things he wanted me to do was to go in with a burqa, 6'3" burqa, and I had one line, and all I had to say was, does my bomb look good in this? Anyway, it never went out, you see. The first episode went out, all the others never went out. I don't think it was the bomb that put an end to it or what. But old Spike is quite a character. I sat next to him for 7 whole weeks, and after the show we'd go for drinks, and he always went by himself to his own changing room and dressing room, and with 2 bottles of Sauterne, and we'd end up at the bar, Frank Carson and people, and there was a man, oh my God, Frankie. Spike used to drive myself and Frank all the way from the studio into town so we could go back to our flats. And all the time, this Frank, what? I said, what? Is it all they do? It's a funny, it's a funny one. And Spike had to pull off the road. He said, look, he said, we're going to crash in a minute. Oh, I see. Oh, right, right you are. But that's all he could do. He had no conversation. I'm trying to get a conversation. And he said, I'm not interested in conversation. Oh, I'm interested in laugh. And he made a fortune out of it. Did very well. And he passed away not all that long ago. Jerry Guyler was another man who I worked with on Winter Better. Marvellous, lovely man. He's gone, I'm afraid. But this is it, Record Times. And there it is. Oh, it's very old, this paper, you see, that's the thing. Very old, but we'll have it in a minute. We'll have it in a minute, sir. Yeah, right. Okay? Yeah. Oh, this is the one with the various people, and there's the Shakespeare souvenir record with, as I said before, John Gielgud, Sir John Gielgud, Alan Bedell, he's gone, he's a very good actor. Yeah. Claire Bloom, remember her? Yeah. Claire Bloom, lovely girl, tremendous. And then Anthony Brothers, I don't know who he is. Michael Flanders, Robert Hardy, Roger Lindsay, Lawrence Nixon, they're all there. Yeah. But the important thing was that Robert Hardy said to me, make the speech, I pray you, trippingly on the tongue. Do not mouth it as some of your players do. Leave I will, the town choir speak my lines. And there you are, you see, all those years ago. And and I became a town crier. I was hard to say so, see. That was a handy thing to be. There's a nice picture of Father Christmas here, by the way. You know, I say one or two enjoyable parts. I think the most enjoyable work I've ever had anywhere, everywhere, anywhere, is Father Christmas. You're giving other people, well, particularly in the Enterprise Centre, you're giving other people's stuff away, and all these little people say, "Oh, thank you so much, thank you so much, marvellous." Anyway, these two little people came up when I was up in the rafters of the Enterprise Centre, and they had to climb these stairs, come on, and go down the chute. Anyway, they came up, the little boy looked at me, the little girl looked at me, and the little boy said, "You'll never get into our house, Santa." I said, "What is it?" He said, "We've got a central and a back boiler." Oh my God, I said, "Back boiler." So his sister came up, she said, "Santa will get in anywhere." "Yes, he's got a key to the world." No, it's
Yeah.
could anything be more innocent? It's wonderful, wonderful, fantastic. Yes, that's it. This tells you how Father Christmas is seen in his red and white, for one thing. That's a big fly agaric mushroom, red and white. And this is it. The garments worn by Father Christmas are based upon the fly agaric mushroom, which used particularly on the tongue or on the temple by shamans. They're the wise men up there,
Yeah.
right, the shamans in Lapland, enable those altruistic men to go on their out-of-body journeys so that they may come back and bring all the gifts to their families and friends. So that's what they get, the old thing there. See? Anyway, and the joke is, this is an amazing thing. This. Do you know how much, how you get hold of a fly agaric mushroom up in those sort of areas and high up in Russia? 5 reindeer for one fly agaric mushroom. That's a fact. Because it is amazing stuff. I've never used it, but I'm pretty sure that our friend Dodson, you remember old Dodson? Yeah, Dodo Dodson. You know, I was called Dodo because he could, Dodo, when everybody asked, was it Dodo Dodson? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the idea there, you see. And I think that when you think of that work, which I told you about all those years ago, when I translated Alice in Wonderland into Sussex, I think because of the mushroom and the weird caterpillar on the top of it, smoking a hookah pipe gave you the truth about where Dodson's got his ideas from. Lewis Carroll actually got them from the fly agaric mushroom. He lived all those years in Lushington Road. Funny thing is, nowadays it's a dentist. We get all that same sort of drugs. It makes you wonder, you see. Anyway, that's what I think he did. You know, he used to walk on a Sunday to Hastings and back. You think of that? All the way to Hastings and back. And the other thing was, he's a great photographer, very, very well-known photographer. And he suddenly gave it up. So is anybody clever out there tell me why he suddenly gave up photography? Anybody? Anybody? Any countdown?
He couldn't walk to Hastings anymore.
Hey?
Because he couldn't walk to Hastings anymore.
He couldn't carry the bloody camera. This thing, oh my word, it's terrible. Yeah. I must tell you a naughty joke. Shall I tell you a naughty joke? 2 little girls on the pier, and this man sees them, and he gets this thing all over his head. Well, I said, what's she going to do? She said, focus. What focus? Anyway, that's that joke. So there you are.
Yeah.
I'll read this little thing here. Now, I wrote this years ago. It's called The Lobster Squad's Ill. Okay?
Yeah.
Will you walk a little faster, said a whiting to a snail. There's someone, some effluent behind us, and it's getting on my tail. See how gingerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They're debating on the single, if to go from Fears or France. I can't read this, it's too small. I think it'll be right. I'll have another crack at it, all right? Right, we'll go have another go. Yeah, why not? Yeah, they're debating on the shingle. Does it come from here or France? Does it come from here or France? Does it from France? You can really have no notion just how frightful it will be when they take us up and throw us out with lobsters out to sea. But the snail replied, oh law, and give her a look across. Said he heard the whiting jeer clearly, but it could not come from France. Would not come from France. Would not come from France.
Yeah.
What matter it how, no matter how far it goes. The effluence on the tide. There is another shore, you know, a shore on either side. Further off from Eastbourne, the nearer is Bexhill. There turn your tail, beloved snail, and both of us are ill. Will it, won't it, will it, won't it, will it, won't. Will it, won't it, will it, won't. Will it kill us all? Anyway, sorry about that.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
Anyway.
Sounds a bit like Gilbert and Sullivan.
I thought it was pretty good.
Right, let's have a look here. Let's have a look here. Oh, remember that? Yeah, there's a memory.
Yeah.
That was issued by the Enterprise Centre. And I was given the job of giving them out free on the station. And the man came up, he said, you! I said, what? You! I said, what?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me? He said, yeah. You're not allowed to do that. I said, you're bloody stupid, I'm just giving them away. He said, oh, I said that, it's all very well. He said, we're trying to sell the maps. So they really were annoyed, you know. So I said, well, offered.
Yeah.
So I went on doing it, unfortunately.
You're right.
Now here we are, there's a bit here. Crying days. Here, see if I can read this. There's one lady here, I don't know if she's still around, Pamela Gertrude Dansford. It was lovely to see the picture of Anthony Chamberlaine Brothers in the Gazette of November the 29th. I was most struck by his smiley pendant. You know, I had that one time, a smiley pendant. It is so refreshing to have a town crier who is an acid house fan and not just an ordinary old foolhardy man.
Yeah.
As for John Wilkinson, you remember John Wilkinson? He used to write a lot of letters to the papers, John Wilkinson. I don't know whether he's still alive. Anyway, as to John Wilkinson, he claimed, much to the... Oh, yes, he has a much desired torso, it says here. Most peculiar. Well, thank you. And on the other hand, He can ring my bell anytime. That's what she said. There you go. I don't know if she's still alive, but I think she is. It's a nice thing that somebody says, isn't it? Ring my bell anytime. Yes. Some people are lucky, some people ain't.
Yeah, true.
All sorts of things here, these old papers. I wrote them every week. And, oh, this is quite good, yes. If I can read it. What is it bloody like?
Oh, no, it's a bit
Oh,
dull.
nice.
You need a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
No, yeah, read it. Our life on the ocean wave.
Wave.
That's certainly what the Alcorns are about. And here, and how enjoyable it was to be on their, with their company of Brian, that's it. Yeah, company of Brian and his wife. For anyway, and they enjoyed themselves on this tow, and so did I. And no one got seasick. And then a man came out with an advertisement. If you want a perfect cure for seasickness, just half a crown by postal order to me, CS Cape, at the address given. Should you find the cure ineffective, your money will be refunded. The cash poured in, and all the punters received for their actual money was don't go to sea. No one could say what, did they? That's a good scheme.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another one. A similar one, a similar scam carried out at about the same time concerned cockroaches, which, as we know, are very often unwanted stowaways on many a marine excursion. This was the way it went. Rid your kells of foulest of bugs, the cockroach, an absolutely infallible method of extermination. Send 5 shillings, postal order, for the apparatus and easily followed instructions. And it had to be addressed to Bugsy Malone, Scallop Cottage, 4 Grub Cots, Woodland, London. What a racket here. This is obviously not the real address. So, anyway, this is what happened. The mugs, in this case, they were supplied with, for the necessary death of the cockroach, they were supplied with Block A and Block B. So they're well marked, Block A and Block B, with the instructions to first catch cockroach, place cockroach on Block A, place Block B on cockroach, and hit with a hammer. Oh, absolutely infallible. I wish I thought of that. You know.
Yeah.
So many good records.
Yeah.
No. Apart from that bloody excrescence on the front, that enormous building, Southcliffe Tower, one other thing which I hate in Eastbourne, and it's those lumps of wood. You know those lumps of wood in the grounds? You've seen them? You must have seen them over the years. But anyway, they are there. That's a small version of them. These are 2 poems that I wrote about those things. Well, Fish, Flake and Mozart, a groin strain. Nothing? Groin strain?
Yeah.
Who needs those stumps of weathered wood that stand in ring formation, that listened to the wind's lament and stood against the roaring sea and its waters' transmigration? One seems a mighty fish to leap from out some flattened rubble, another like a chocolate flake for giant's teeth to trouble. 8 other stalks of Sussex weed, this was called in the old days stalk, because Sussex weed was the oak tree. Yes, anyway, Sussex weed. What I think they really need is a mutual fascination. So maybe the fish and chocolate flake should stand within their circle whilst music plays to join their gaze as they listen to a Mozart curtle. Anyway, that was written by me, and this was written by me under a different name. I used to write under 5 different names, 5 different typewriters. It was good fun. Anyway, this one's called I Agree with Hue and Cry. I've read the correspondence, so I just won't bother about that. I read that. Right, here we are. No hue and cry. What did the sculptor sculpt? What did the hewer hew? 'Twas the sun and the sea and the wind that gave those stumps their beauty, form and shape. 'Twas not David Nash, that's true. For all he did, it seems to me, was place them where they are, those mighty lumps of Sussex weed, and concrete them within a ring. For viewers near and far, what really rankles, to be sure, are those thousands paid to Nash, almost as bad as all those bricks for viewers at the Tate. So there you are. Neither being worthy of the people.
Well done.
Anyway, I don't like them, they're still there. Is this peer pressure, P-I-E-R? With all the talk about Brighton's West Pier, I thought the following few lines might be appropriate. Mental fatigue, peer pressure, you really were a genius, Birch. That means
Eugenius Birch.
Genius Birch.
Clever.
You really were a genius, Birch. Yes, you really were a genius. It does appear the old West Pier in Brighton is a goner, but yet at least they still have one, as Eastbourne has another. A Bonner. Eugenius Birch, it was of course, who built those piers of grandeur and splendour. Spots of fun and frolic, both, and havens for the spender. So let her go, she's had her day. To mend it would cost a fortune, and spend instead the money saved on something more opportune. Now, I don't need to read this, but something I sent up to an organisation called the International Society of Poets. I don't know what it was that triggered me off, but it was Joan's daughter-in-law. She lived in Croydon in those days. He had a lovely shop, art shop, and he had these lovely big, beautiful things, geodes. You know what they are? If you break them in half, open them, there's all these beautiful colours inside. And I just thought of this at the time. Crack a geode gently, take a look inside. A world of crystal beauty. Right, crack a geode gently, take a look inside. A world of crystal beauty, bright colours petrified. Our world could be a geode upon some distant shore, when all the bombs have blasted and stupid man no more. Well, I was thinking, talking to a woman, and I've been talking to a lot of women recently about why should men be allowed to kill all their offspring? And when I was 14, my father took me round a munitions factory. I was 14, and I went around listening to music while you work, music play, all this stuff on the radio. And I saw all these hundreds of women, young ones, middle-aged ones, old ones, filling all these bloody bombs and hand grenades and shells and stuff with no thought at all of all those poor bloody women over there, Germans, etc., being blasted to hell and gone, for a man's whim, not a woman's whim. But I suppose, what else could they have done during the war? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a terrible thought to me as a young boy of 14. I thought, this is madness, absolute madness. It's terrible. Just listening to music and funny jokes. Remember, I don't know whether you ever knew about a man called Bruce Bairn's father. Bruce Bairn's father? Mean anything to anybody?
Yeah.
Bruce Bairn's father, well, what I think is that we're very lucky in this country with great sense of humour. Germans haven't got any. The Italians have got 2 jokes. I'll tell you one of them. It's very funny. It's a really funny joke. Yes. 2 Italians sit down and they order coffee. See? One of them put 16 sugars. And the other man said, what do you do? He said, don't like it sweet, I can't stir it. Well, that's the Italian too.
Yeah.
There's another, the only other one I know is Carabinieri is an Italian policeman, and there's this Carabinieri, and he wanted to put a new picture up. He got this bloody 6-inch nail, and he started boom, boom, stop, couldn't go. Couldn't understand why it wasn't going any further. So I went next door. There's another Carabinieri listening. Woodenhead. Just a day, that's what it means, Woodenhead. Just a yeah. But it's true, you know. I mean, when you think of Bruce Bairn's father, which you can't now, I mean, it's 14-18 war. Lovely, well, I can see now, the adjutant is in the doorway. And coming in, and then the captain is there. See the captain, and then the sergeant comes in. He says, "Oh, excuse me, sir." He says, "You've got 3,000 men just come in from the front. Give them tea, sergeant." That's English humour. Give them tea, sergeant. They'll go fine. Yeah, don't you worry. Yeah. Anyway. Has anybody got any questions at all? At all?
May I ask you for how long you worked at the BBC?
13 years.
Right.
With these on the sound. See, it's a funny thing, isn't it? 13 years I was there, and wonderful. Actors and actresses are totally different on the radio. They're just different people. They don't have an edge. They're not sharp. They're nice and quiet. One of the main things is you don't have to learn a script, which is wonderful, you see. I mean, I went off to the World Service one day and did this lovely program about John Betjeman and his wife and his family. And I really enjoyed that. And I was on a long walk in Essex with a friend of mine. And we were going up to what was called the blowing hole. It was a big stone thing, you see, the blowing hole. So off we went to start up, and it started to rain. And it continued to rain. And it went rained and rained and rained. I thought, oh, it's bloody terrible. So we couldn't get the blowing hole, so we ran down the hill. Knocked on a cottage, little cottage all by itself, knocked on the door. Oh, young man, what a state you're in. You better come in. Dry yourself by the fire.
Yeah.
There's a lovely fire going. So I took my trousers off even then. So there was, sat in a chair with her husband, and he was an ex-jockey. That was tremendous for me, you know, with our interest in horses and things. So there we were for about 2 hours. She made some scones, a nice cup of tea, another cup of tea. All wonderful. Anyway, she said, I'll just phone for a taxi for you. Thank you very much. So she did. So knock on the door. Oh, here he is. Ready for you? So got into the taxi. So John and I were next to each other. And off we went. And I thought, that's funny. What's this funny? That's my voice. That's my voice. That's my voice. He said, do you listen to that? I said, what? He said, why, John Betjeman. I said, but that's me, not John Benjamin. I said, one of his family. I said, there's a programme I was in the other day. He said, well, I'm amazed. But they're incredible, isn't it, really? Wonderful. Another weird thing, I was in Selfridges. I sold, this is a terrible thing to say, I sold some cleaning cloths to some nuns. And I knew they couldn't be washed afterwards, but they believed me that they could. And I've had that on my conscience. And I was selling these cleaning cloths, and a man came up, see, and he said, excuse me. I said, yes. He said, I think you're an actor, aren't you? I said, well, he said, I think you know a friend of mine. I said, who's that? I said, who's that? He said, Ryland. I said, Ryland? Yeah, of course. Oh, I said, yeah, of course I do, yes. He said, well, he said, tell him his father called. He'd like to give him a ring or something, if I can make contact with him. I said, see, weird things. And I think I touched upon my early out-of-body experience. My father was driving me down to Chichester to show me some hares that had been washed up on the beach. And we went round a corner, about 50 miles an hour, terrible squealing of brakes. I fell out on the door, as they used to on those hinges at the back. Went out on the door into a ditch. So a drunken groom came out of a pub, came running over, picked up the mess in the ditch, got me into the back, and off we went with my father being told where to drive, see. Meanwhile, I was off looking for these hares on the beach. My father had said were there, hundreds of hares on the beach. So, go like this, and I suddenly realised unless I did something, I'll be back, you know, my father would think I'm dead. So I went, whistling along, bodiless, to find my body in a country hospital, and I found the grey Citroen. I went straight into my bed, and all these people were standing there thinking, oh, amazing, he's still alive. Wasn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
So you see, you know, I do know that the body is just a vehicle which we drive, and certainly not us, not our reality. So yeah, certain things have come my way, as they say. And any more questions?
Yeah. Tell your story about the crabs in Dr. No.
Oh, crabs! Yeah, of course. Oh, no, I kept on going on to that, didn't I? Yeah. They flew in 450 crabs from Jersey, and they're brought in, and Ursula Andress was splayed out on this sandy knoll, all ready for these beautiful crabs to come on, and they were all ready for the camera, Otto Heller, to look at the things, see? And so there they were, all these crabs, and they were put on, and Otto looked at the thing through the camera and said, no, it's very good, Terence Young. Terence, you can't, it's no good. You can't go sat that way. You see, you have to see the eyes. Yeah, you have to go to see the eyes, you see. So Terence Young said, now look here, Otto, these bloody crabs, they only go, you know, one way, sideways. Oh, it's no good, I can't see the eyes. He said, well, look, he said, I mean, you know, what can we do? So a voice said, spray 'em with steam, that'll move the buggers. So this is typical, this is professional filmmaking. So they produced a steam pipe. Poor old Angie is still there on this bloody thing. And off we go. Take one. No, two or three crabs fell off the edge, and that's all. Back. So I said, what can we do on this? Well, he said, I have to see the eyes. It's important to see the eyes. It's another voice. Well, I spray with cold water. That's a good contrast. So there, poor old Ursula's there again, waiting. And on this thing, take two. Nothing, not a move. One or two little bits and pieces. Nothing. couldn't get anything. So then old Terence has this brilliant idea. This is real professional filmmaking. He said, I tell you what I'll do. I'll throw a few in the air, get back quickly, and you hear a shot. So they did this. So a few crabs, throws them in the air, gets out of the shot. And old Otto said, it's no good, they just scrambled. That was the end of all those 450 crabs. You can't eat them because they're just inedible. They're all legs. And so they've never got the opening shot for Crab Key, which is important. But, it makes you think that I'll tell you a terrible thing. Donald Wolfett. You ever heard of Donald Wolfett?
Yeah. Russell the Tank.
Anyway, there's a film called... name of the film now. Crippen. Yeah, just one straight word, Crippen. That's the name of this film, all about Crippen, the murderer.
Yeah.
So anyway, these two policemen, and they're walking along. They've been told that he'd probably gone into the gents. So they went into the gents, knocked on the door, said, is that you, Crippen? He said, no, it's crap, it's clear the rest of the other story was, sorry about that, you'll do it, don't we? But anyway, Wolfett had this 4.5 minute speech. Now that's incredible. 1 minute's bad enough, 2 minutes bad enough, 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So he gets on this, and he's a judge. And there he is, he starts off on this thing. And then off we go, take one. So it's going on, 2 minutes past, 3 minutes past, 3.5 minutes, crash! What the fuck? And the man had fallen off his gantry and broken his neck.
No.
Take him away, get another one. And that's the way it is, It's a terrible thought, but it is. Yeah. This contains all the film studios and all the films I was involved in. This is 1 year, 1961, and that's it is. Some pounds £3.50, some £6.50, some £7.50, some 10 quid, most of them £3.50. But all the way through there, every day I had 1 or 2 things to do, but there are altogether 15 film studios. That makes you wonder, doesn't it? You never think of 15 film studios. Got Elstree and, 15, When I went to Danziger's, this is a story. I went to Danziger's. They said you can ride because I've been in the auditions for the Cleopatra. And so they thought I could ride. And so off I went to Danziger's, got on a horse as a knight. Lovely, everything, all there. So off we went. And we, all morning, I rode around as a Saracen, as a knight, and I had lunch. And I called back after lunch as a Saracen. Well, this time there were no stirrups. So necessarily I just couldn't control the bloody horse. So I rode straight at the camera and the voice said, get that bastard off the set. And that was the end of my riding. But amazing in the Cleopatra, 350 extras, and all being collected from coffee shops and all sorts of places. And all lined up. Get your knickers, boys, all this stuff. Anyway, there were these 2 men in front of me. And this one said, look at this, the chitty head. What's that mean there? What do you mean? He says, lictor. He said, what's it? He said, I don't know what it is. You're a bloody Roman army, isn't it? Roman army, lictor. Oh, I see. Didn't worry. And I heard 2 other men, they were talking, and same sort of thing. He said, you know something? He said, bloody terrible, I said. Absolutely terrible, I said. We've got a bloody tent, and we're a Roman army, conquering heroes,
Mm.
and those bleeding Macedonians, they were God changing room.
Yeah.
That's their view of things, isn't it?
So how many films did you work on, Tony? Tony?
Sorry?
How many films did you work on?
How many films?
Hmm.
I did a 13 episode on the Fast Lady, voices. 13 voices. I did Bella, Peter Sellers. I did his little dog. He was pushing him around as this clapped out entertainer in this old pram, and this little dog called Bella on her last legs. And I gave her all the whimpers and the sniffs and the snuffles and all these
lovely.
things. So I like to think that I gave Bella a voice, but Peter Sellers only played the lead, you see.
Very good.
Excellent.
And another one, arising from the extras, these things happen now, you see. From that Cleopatra thing, I met a chap called Mortimer. He said, tell you what, Tony, he said, I think you'd be very good at footsteps. I said, what? He said, footsteps. I said, I'm not quite idea. He said, when a film was made, you put the footsteps on afterwards, because it mustn't get in the way of the voice. I said, really? He said, yeah, Beryl's going tomorrow. Would you like to go? I said, of course, always. So off I went the following day with Beryl Mortimer. She's known as the Cinecittà, which is Italian for footsteps queen. She did all the books. She did boots and shoes and all sorts of stuff. And there I was in a pair of shoes for Donald Pleasance. She was in an enormous pair of boots. Oh, sorry, no, I get this wrong. Hang on a second. Lionel Stander was an enormous man, about 6'5". He had these bloody great boots, so she had to do the boots for him, you see. So there was this little woman with the bloody great boots on, and I was doing Pleasance, mincing around in nothing at all, virtually. And this is what we did all morning, doing these footsteps. I saw a woman last night. She's done practically every foreign actress who's been on Dr. No, or on the Bond films. Practically all of them. It's very hard to believe, isn't it? But there you are.
Yeah.
But you know, it's amazing how important things are. I mean, in BBC, I used to do a lot of stuff there. On voices, I did there's a programme called Hamlet. It's about the Great Dane, of course. So I gave Great Dane a voice. You know all this. Didn't do very much.